A lot of friends have been asking us, how is the COVID situation in Taiwan? Since you asked, today we're going to talk about Taiwan's response to COVID-19.
And why it's so effective. So let's start with the stats.
Speaking of stats,
Right, so if you guys are anything like our viewers of the past 28 days, only 1 out of every 5 of you is subscribed. So if you'd like to be notified when we put out new videos, please subscribe and then click the notification bell next to the subscribe button. Thank you! Back to Taiwan stats. Taiwan has a population of about 24 million people, which is a few million more than Florida, and it has a landmass of about 36,000 square kilometers, which is a bit larger than Maryland. Imagine squeezing the entire population of Florida into the state of Maryland. Given this high population density, how does Taiwan keep its case count so low? Well, the success lies in a collaborative effort between the Taiwanese government and its citizens. Let's start with a very simple example. Masks.
to prevent local transmission, the Taiwanese government has required mask wearing in places like schools, temples, hospitals, supermarkets, department stores, buses, and MRT stations and trains. As you can see, everyone's compliant.
Hold up.
As you can see,
Almost.
everyone's compliant with the mask rules. If you're caught without one, you can be fined up to $530 US. And even here on the streets, everyone's wearing their masks anyway.
Surgical masks have also been made easily available in Taiwan. In early 2020, when masks were scarce, the government rationed them out to citizens who picked them up at pharmacies and then later convenience stores simply by swiping their national health insurance card, or 健保卡. The government also released the data about where these masks had been sent, which citizen contributors used to create apps that show the number of masks at each distribution site, updated every 30 seconds. This strong public engagement in the governing process is possible because of an open source governance philosophy, most notably demonstrated by Taiwan's digital ministry, which has been essential to the pandemic response. Check out the links in the description below if you'd like to learn more about how the digital ministry has worked with citizens to create mask maps, has used memes to combat misinformation, and has tracked cell phones to enforce entry quarantine.
Entry quarantine? Explain.
Since March 19th of 2020, only Taiwanese citizens and a few select categories of foreign nationals have been allowed to enter Taiwan. Regardless of citizenship status, people entering the country must undergo a 14-day quarantine. One option is for people to quarantine in a quarantine hotel where they're physically not able to leave. The other option is to quarantine at home, where you are still not able to leave, but it's enforced a little bit differently. As Taiwan's digital minister Audrey Tang puts it, people have to digitally quarantine, placing their phone into the digital fence. In that case, the nearby cell phone tower will measure the signal strength and send out an SMS if the phone runs out of battery or breaks out of the 50-meter or so radius.
The entry quarantine really wasn't that bad in our case, we didn't think.
Yeah, we actually had quite a bit of fun with it. And for me, I just had to stay in my room and they would call me and text me each once a day to make sure that I was still with my device and monitoring my health.
They even collected our trash a couple of times a week and gave us a care package with snacks and things.
After the 14-day quarantine, there is a 7-day self-health management period. People are supposed to avoid crowded places and monitor their health and temperature.
Testing and vaccines are not widely available to the public, at least for now. In our experience, people must apply for and pay for their own tests. They're about $200 US each. As for vaccines, the word on the street is that Taiwan has secured 30 million doses, but we haven't begun large-scale vaccination yet. That said, we don't really feel the sense of urgency since the other methods of virus prevention are so effective. Now you might be wondering, how do these strict border laws and domestic practices affect Taiwanese economy and social life?
Well, most large or crowded events have been canceled, but people are still very social in smaller settings simply because there are not very many local cases. As far as the economy goes, Taiwan has been doing pretty well. Most businesses continue to operate as usual, just with masks, temperature checks, alcohol hand spray, sometimes contact tracing documentation, and sometimes a few other measures. From talking to people around Taiwan, it seems like the industry most affected has been tourism. including taxi drivers. Taxi drivers rely heavily on international tourists for business, so for them, the border restrictions hurt. For the broader tourism industry, it's been more of a mixed bag, with low international tourism but higher than usual domestic tourism, aided by some government subsidies in 2020. We feel very lucky to have been part of that domestic tourism wave, and we feel especially lucky that we've been able to share that with you through these videos.
Here's to the hope that you too can visit Taiwan in the coming years. And don't forget to join us next week for a video that's a little less research and a little more fun. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.